For millennia, since man has had memory and testimony of his past, all ancient cultures and traditions have had their own music as an integral part of their lives and culture. The music has been used all over the world, not only for entertainment purposes, but also as an aid to the natural healing of various ailments and diseases, suffering and imbalances, both physical and emotional. Music was used more or less assiduously and in many different modalities across eras and latitudes, but always with the same fundamental idea that music has beneficial characteristics on human psychophysical system. The profession of music therapist has been coined since the Second World War, when the beneficial and rapid effect on soldiers traumatized by the horrors of war was certainly observed. This video course is dedicated with predilection to Ukrainian war refugees affected by various traumas and who find themselves in post-trauma suffering or similar disabling conditions. It is therefore designed to help them recover their psychophysical and emotional balance through music. We live in a vibrational universe, from the microcosm and therefore from the infinitely small, such as the atom, and the continuous movements of the electrons within it, up to the macrocosm, with the movements and interactions of the planets in the constellations. Everything in the universe is in motion. Everything vibrates and everything has measurable natural frequencies. Physics and mathematics, in their different phases of discovery and scientific experimentation, have demonstrated this for thousands of years. Patterns and fractals repeat throughout the universe, and we know that the entire creation follows certain irrefutable and generally applicable laws, called by many the golden ratio or the divine matrix. In this vast context, it is obvious that the human body cannot escape universal rules, so it is also made of vibrations, frequencies, electricity, and magnetic resonance. And overall, the same we can say about music. So, frequencies and vibrations used by us humans in a certain melodic and harmonic order have been observed to be not only delightful to the ear, but also capable of changing the emotional state of the person who listens to them with quite immediate effect. And going further, has been proved that music can also be an extraordinary and effective tool for the healing of many pathologies. The inner ear is the first organ that develops in a fetus, when the embryo is just 1 millimeter. Hearing is the first sense to develop and the last to disappear before death. It is 10 times more developed than eyesight. What humans have applied intuitively for millennia, various researchers and scientists throughout various eras have demonstrated with physical and mathematical experiments. We can begin a short but not exhaustive list with the Greek philosopher Pythagoras, who around the year 500 BC demonstrated with a simple monochord the various mathematical relationships and perfectly measurable fractions between the sounds of a musical scale and the intervals of octave, fifth, fourth, third, and so on. This observation of his is the basis of the further demonstration of the fact that every sound is made up of a myriad of harmonics, placed at a precise distance and repeated in a measurable and always identical manner. The link between music and mathematics was also demonstrated in the Middle Age by Fibonacci in his famous Fibonacci sequence that has the same regular and infinite sequence as the harmonics in a sound. The sound, also subject to the same mathematical and physical laws like every other thing in the universe, even if immaterial in itself, has a great influence on physical matter. Later in time, the simultaneously resonant harmonics were intuitively discovered by the philosopher and mathematician René Descartes in the 17th century, then investigated by Thomas Pigot, an academic scholar, fellow of the Royal Academy, and definitely proven by Joseph Sauveur in his acoustic advanced researches and fixed in several books. We thus arrive at another important moment in the scientific history of sound and in its microelements, with the 17th century Viennese physicist Ernst Chladni, who made an experiment with spectacular and inconfutable results. He connected a sound box to a metal foil, sprinkled with very fine sand. He made it resonate with a violin bow, and he noticed that the sound energy acted on the sand was creating various regular geometric shapes that were well organized and perfectly repeatable in correspondence with certain sound frequencies. These geometric patterns, even today, bear the name Chladni figures. This historical excursus takes us to cymatics, a term that derives from the Greek kymatika, which designates the study of wave phenomena. It is the science that deals with the systematic study of the periodic manifestations of the acoustic range and the effect of vibrations on matter. This particular discipline, which represents a portal to the invisible world of the forms of sound, was developed by the Swiss doctor Hans Jenny, who towards the middle of the 20th century was able to structure many meticulous studies into a complete and well-structured concept on the effects morphogenetics of sound waves on matter. Coming to the present day, the Japanese scholar Masaru Emoto demonstrated how various sound waves, musical but also thoughts and emotions carried out in presence, impact in a decisive and tangible way on matter, reaching the depths of the tiny cells of water. He demonstrated this by isolating water cells and subjecting them to various emotional and sound waves. These cells were subsequently frozen and then observed under the microscope. They showed an incredible variety of complex and equally repeatable shapes in the presence of the same stimuli. Given that the human body is made up by approximately 70% water and that sound travels in water 5 times more than in air, it is logical to understand why music has such a powerful effect on the human body. Among other scientific discoveries that demonstrate how humans are an inseparable part of the phenomenon of entanglement of the universe, we can bring the so-called Schumann resonance, or the basic frequency of the Earth, measured by him for the first time in a value of 7.83 Hz, and the similarity with the brain frequencies measured through the encephalogram discovered by Professor Hans Berger, measurable with a frequency around 8 Hz. Therefore, The human nervous system is tuned to the frequency of the earth, both with a frequency around 8 Hz. The sound produced with various musical instruments, as well as the frequency of the human body, measurable in infrasound, are also made visible by the oscillograph through sinusoidal shapes. Music is a complex phenomenon, with its various components: frequency, vibration, intensity, rhythm, melody, harmony, dynamic, tempo, or lyrics. Since the human body is also made of vibrations, frequency, electricity, and magnetic resonance, these elements naturally interpenetrate. Our body emits, but also naturally receives external sounds. The vibration of the sound applied to the body reaches the tissues and cells through the body's water. By reaching so deep inside, it manages to balance and put one's energy back into circulation in a coherent and harmonious way, reordering it in the positive way and accordingly to the intended purpose of the music therapist. Music manages to set in motion the nerve centers of memory, feelings, and emotions with beneficial effects on the body and mind. On the other hand, rhythm has been part of our life since our heart starts beating while we are still in the mother's womb. And so, finally, after millennia, from what was believed to be a simple popular belief, we have moved on to the scientifically proven certainty of the extraordinary power of sound frequencies and vibrations on matter.